Spoiler warning for Last of Us 1 and 2. If you've never seen the first one, genuinely play it. Shit's amazing. That's like a fucking masterpiece right there. The second one, that's what we're gonna talk about. 3, 2, 1. That game is motherfucking hot garbage! I swear to fuck, man! Now look, I understand. People are gonna be like, oh, the game hasn't even released yet. How are you gonna judge the game if it hasn't even released? Now, here's the thing. The second game ended up getting leaked, right? The second game got leaked. And it got leaked in a really big way. The beginning, a lot of parts of the middle, and a good chunk of the end got leaked. Even the ending got leaked. And the thing is that they even leaked really crucial points of the story, for instance, important deaths. Now, let me give you some background history on the first Last of Us, so I can show you how much this motherfucking game means to a lot of people. So in the first game, right, again, spoiler warning, if you've never played the first one, go play it. Genuinely, the first one's amazing. Don't play the second one one's trash. Play the first one. Game's amazing, okay? Game is fucking amazing. So, what ends up happening in the first one, right, is that you have this character named Joel, right? Joel is this, like, he's the typical dad, character, right? He's the typical dad character, and the zombie apocalypse happens, right? And so he basically is chilling with, I believe it's his brother, right? I believe it's his brother. He's chilling with his brother at his house, and the zombies start happening, right? And so Joel goes, he gets his daughter, and he's trying to get out of the city that they're in order to, like, escape the zombie apocalypse and, get out of that area. Well, when they're trying to escape, the military shows up, and they basically are trying to make sure that they quarantine off the city. No one leaves, right? And so when they try to quarantine off the city, they end up taking shots at Joel. While he's holding his daughter, Joel tries to take the brunt of the shots. However, I think 1 or 2 of them ends up hitting his daughter. And he ends up holding her in his arms as she's breathing her last breaths. She's like 12, and she dies in his arms. This eventually then, fast forwards to the future. We see Joel has moved, like, into, this apartment place with this woman. The zombie apocalypse has fully broken through and whatever, and he's a really bitter man. He's a really bitter man. He doesn't want to let people in close because he just doesn't want to lose anyone, right? He's like, fuck, close connections. If I have close connections, people are gonna die. He doesn't say that, but you can tell that's how he's acting. Eventually, he meets this character named Ellie, who happens to be immune to the zombie outbreak. And because of that, people want to take her to this area called, this area in this other state where this group called the Fireflies are. If you take her to there, they might be able to do something with her blood or DNA that can make a cure for the zombie outbreak, right? And it's like, alright, that's cool. So the entire story is a road trip story, right? And along the way, they meet a lot of different people and have a bunch of different experiences. And so, sorry about that, they have a bunch of different experiences and whatever, right? And these experiences allow them to get closer, allow them to get, they allow them to fight at each other. It's a really good bonding story, and by the end of the story, Joel makes the choice, because when he finally brings her to the Fireflies, he finds out that in order to make this cure, potentially, they would have to dissect Ellie, this girl. They would have to dissect her, and by this point, Joel has started to look at her like a daughter. He's finally allowed himself to have this connection again with another person, right? He's finally allowed himself to care for someone else. And so, he makes the choice to get her out of the hospital and kill the doctors and kill any, armed personnel in there to save Ellie. When he escapes, he tells Ellie, look, there's a bunch of other people in there that have your same, kind of blood. They're immune to the zombie outbreak. And, they're gonna take care of the cure. They said we could go home, so, we went home. And she's like, alright, that's cool. And the story ends there, right? Genuinely, a really good way to end the story. However, money talks. So the studio said, let's go make another fucking story. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, okay, this could have promise, You raise the age of these characters about like 10 or 12 years, right? At least that's what it seems like from the trailers. So you raise these characters' age by like 10 or 12 years. This could be interesting. This could be really, really interesting. Boy, was I fucking wrong! So, the story basically is... Look, I don't really tend to get into politics here. I really don't give a shit about politics. Look, if you could put anything in a story to make it good, I don't care, right? If you just happen to put a gay character in there to make the story good, cool, that's alright, whatever, I don't really care. Look at Ozarks, right? Ozarks puts a gay character into the show, right? But Ozark doesn't say like, oh look, he's gay, he's gay, he's gay, he's gay. They don't try to do that to get brownie points. If anything, they focus more on the dude's characteristics, his, mannerisms, how he acts, how he treats people, and stuff like that, right? That is how you implement a character of like a minority group. That's how you do it, like not minority group, a small group, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? You want to do that with a race? Do the same thing. In the first Last of Us, they introduced, African American characters, and they introduced them in such a nice way where you saw them, and they did make an impact on the story, right? It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna shoehorn these characters in here just because reasons, right? It was a nice progression of the story, and they were implemented very well. There you go. Now you might be saying, oh, what's wrong with, pushing in representation? The problem is that you can put representation anywhere you want. That's not a problem. When you force feed it, and it's obvious you're doing it to make an agenda, that's where I have a fucking problem. Because, let me put it like this. If you had a story, right, where the story was, okay, let's say the story had, like, 2 gay characters, right? Let's say the story had 2 gay characters, right? And then, in the next game, you just have this agenda where they're trying to push the straight is better, straight people are better, and they come in and they kill your gay characters, and then you have to play as the straight characters the entire rest of the game. You'd be upset, because you'd be like, where the fuck did this come from, right? Now you might be saying, well, yeah, but a majority of the world is straight, so wouldn't that be okay? Well, yeah, if you implement it right, but obviously there's a difference between when you implement something right and when you're doing it just to push an agenda, and you can tell when there's a difference. But either way, so the point is, right, in this game, the enemy isn't zombies. Zombies are just like the side villains, the side characters now. So instead of fighting the zombie outbreak, what you're fighting now as Ellie, because Ellie's not the playable character, and they kind of hinted in the earlier trailers that Joel could be a side character, similar to how Ellie in the first game was a side character to Joel being the main character. So it's like, okay, reversal, fine, whatever. And in this game, you find out that the villain isn't zombies. It's a Christian cult. Now, here's the thing with this. This is already pushing this propaganda bullshit, because apparently from the leaks, the Christian cult is like anti, all this other LGBT shit, whatever, right? Of course, they just gotta make the Christians look like shit. At this point, the Christian cult being villains has already run dry as a villain idea since The Punisher Season 2. Like, the idea of let's make Christians evil is just so... it's just so stupid. At this point, it has, it makes as much sense as constantly making the Russians the bad guy in every American film. It's just so fucking stupid at this point. And it's like, really? Really? You couldn't think of anything better? Really? This is what you decided to go with? But either way, so the Christians, of course, are the evil bad guys or whatever, right? And then what ends up happening is that Ellie's chasing them down for whatever reason, right? I don't know the reason, because I didn't care to go 100% into the leaks. But I've heard that apparently they kill someone close to Ellie, or they started some shit with Ellie, so she's after them to kill them, right? So it's like, okay, whatever. And so what ends up happening is Joel shows up, right? Joel shows up and he's like, did you really think I let you do this on your own? And so Joel, showing up as her father figure, is here to help her. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because you find out in the story, Joel and Ellie had like a splitting up moment. They split up because basically what ends up happening is Ellie finds out the truth about Joel. Like, she finds out that, she could have saved the world if he would have let her die, and he chose to kill everyone else that could have been able to save the world. So that made Ellie feel kind of weird. Again, this is from the leaks. I haven't played the story. This is from the leaks. And so, she felt weird and she walked away. And so, this is a big deal. Joel has returned. And it's like, okay, cool. So they team up and go after, the Christian cult. They try to take them down or whatever, right? Well, what ends up happening is along the way, keep in mind, this is all within the first hour of the game, right? First hour or two of the game. What ends up happening is that Joel and Ellie get taken down by this random gang of people, right? And you're like, okay, what the fuck is this random gang of people doing here, right? You don't understand what they're there for or whatever, and you see this really buff girl, right? Now, here's the problem why I have a problem with this buff girl, right? For 2 reasons. One, they originally in the leaks were saying that she's transgender. Now, whether or not this person is transgender or not, I don't know. I haven't played the game and I don't plan to after this rate. But if it's transgender, push it down an agenda down our throat by what she does next. You'll see what I mean. And secondly, this character is too fucking buff. And the reason why I'm saying that is because in the post-apocalyptic world that they live in, no one has ever been this buff. Unless you were a fucking zombie. No one's ever been this fucking buff. Because you know why? Because being that buff requires you to have a constant regimen of protein coming in, right? It requires you to even maybe, you know, get more fucking protein than is available. And, you know, for them to be able to get that much protein, to be as buff as she is, because you know how swole she is? She's as swole as like the fucking Rock. Like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson swole. Like, this girl being that built doesn't make any fucking sense in the post-apocalyptic world. Especially since you see a flashback with her being like 12 or 13. Right? And the flashback, you find out, basically this girl, Abby, is basically like watching her dad die at the hospital because Joel killed the doctors and one of the doctors was her dad. So you see her crying. As a kid, she's not buff. So you say, okay, 10 to 12 years. Couldn't she get that buff? Maybe. She could get fairly strong, sure. But if you look at anyone else in the post-apocalyptic world, women or men, they don't get that strong, and I doubt that they have that much protein to build her to the Rock level strong. Even in 10 to 12 years, that is a hard stretch. Hard stretch, especially since if you look up anything about working out, it is harder for women to build up muscle than men. And that girl fucking dwarfs any man that's in the fucking room when she's near them. So, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, so basically this group captures Joel and whatever, right? And so this girl, right, starts beating on him with a golf club and beats him to death. She caves his head in with a golf club and you see him die. You see him get beat with a golf club and you're like, bro, what the fuck? Because this dude has survived all kinds of zombies. Zombies that are noise sensitive, big hulking level zombies. He's taken on entire henchmen of groups or whatever with guns and trucks and shit. Like this dude hasn't even been stabbed in the first game. He got stabbed by a fucking pole. And you best fucking believe that he survived it all. You know why? Because Joel's one, a fucking badass, and two, Joel knows what the fuck he's doing. So the idea that some random group is gonna show up with some buff chick and it's just gonna overwhelm Joel. Yeah, sure. You might say, well, in the context of the story, they might have gotten the drop on him. Dude, Joel rarely gets hit the drop, you know, he rarely gets dropped upon in the game. Rarely. And I think he's probably got, like, surprised probably 2 or 3 times. It's because this dude's hearing, this dude's ability to take people down is portrayed as if he's a fucking superhero. Like, now, you might be saying, oh, it's post-apocalyptic. What's so wrong with him being beat with a, you know, golf club in front of his fucking daughter? Okay, let me answer it like this. Imagine Iron Man, right? Iron Man outside of his suit got beaten to death with a golf club. He just defeated Thanos. Let's say he survived Endgame. He beats, you know, fucking Thanos, saves the universe, right? And then, while he's sleeping, someone breaks into his house and beats him with a golf club. None of his suits can get to him in time, and he dies by a golf club. Imagine how unsatisfied you'd be by that death. But you would say, oh, but it could happen. Yes, it can happen. Doesn't mean that it's satisfying, especially if you're doing it in front of his wife. So, you know, Iron Man would die in front of his wife by a golf club. Joel died in front of his daughter. So there we go. And so Joel, you know, dies. And then for the rest of the game, you're thinking like, okay, Ellie's gonna get revenge for our boy Joel. That's not exactly what happens. The game is split up into 2 parts. One part, half of it is dedicated to you playing as Ellie, which is fine. Ellie's goal is to hunt down the Christian organization and to hunt down this group of people that killed Joel, right? And then what you find out, actually, and this is the fucked up part, after this she-male thing fucking kills our main protagonist that we grew with for an entire fucking movie, right? Because, let's face it, The Last of Us is a fucking movie, not a game. After she kills our boy Joel, guess what the fuck we have to do? We have to play as that being to go kill Ellie. Because now Ellie is the surprise villain of the game. We just killed Joel, a straight white man, by using some fucking transgender buff bitch, and now we're gonna use that transgender buff bitch to go kill our white girl. The amount of raw stupidity emanating from this game is insurmountable, I will tell you that much. Now you might be saying, how else is this SJW? How is this, you know, political and all this other shit? Okay, so in the first game, there were relationships, right? Relationships were in the game, but they were never a focus of the game. See, in the first game, you only knew that Joel was straight because he had a daughter. And also, at some point, you end up seeing him with this character named Tessa. Now, the thing with Tessa is that Tessa and him never kiss. They never hold hands. I don't even think they ever hug. Right? They never even talk sweet to each other. Genuinely, unless they told you, you would not think that these people are a couple. You know why? Because the idea of relationships was not important to The Last of Us. It's a post-apocalyptic world, plus they were focusing on the idea of, you know, a father and daughter, a father and son, you know, that kind of, you know, basically parent and child kind of relationship. They were focusing on that. In this game, for some reason, they decide to focus on relationships, which again has no relevance to the fucking story. And you could say, how would it have no relevance to the story? It legit doesn't. It doesn't have relevance to the story. You have Ellie having a girlfriend. So Ellie is white, the girlfriend's Jewish. The Jewish girl is pregnant with an Asian man's baby. So we got some kind of weird fucking love triangle shit. Right? We got that going on, but no, Ellie's just... I don't know if the fucking Jewish girl was straight and then Ellie turned her gay. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. So I guess Ellie's just so fucking hot that it just turns fucking straight girls gay. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Maybe the girl was always bi. I don't fucking know. I didn't care to play the game and I don't really give a shit. So, yeah, we have that being forced down our throats because that's the most diverse relationship you could go for, except if the fucking Jewish girl was black. Like, that's the most, like, fucking diverse relationship you could go for, but alright. Then you got the fucking transgender bitch, or whatever the fuck that thing is, fucking killing our white straight male. They killed him. They killed him easily, might I add, because, you know, fucking girl power, fucking bullshit. Look, I would have been genuinely fine with them killing Joel. Genuinely, I thought Joel was always gonna die. If they kill him at the end of the game, cool, that's okay. You could have it done tastefully, right? But of course, they can't let the straight white protagonist, you know, die peacefully. No, they couldn't do that. They're gonna give him an endgame set-out. No, instead they treated him like Negan versus the Asian boy from Walking Dead. No, it's easy to do a send-off for Joel. The entire game, they're chasing after the Christian cult, right? Because, you know, again, political, Christians are always evil. You know, have Joel and Ellie chasing down the Christian cult the entire game. And eventually they're close to killing them. And eventually they beat them. They beat them entirely. However, by this point, this, you know, fucking she-male looking motherfucker, you know, has run into Joel and Ellie about 2 or 3 times throughout the story and always lost, right? Because Ellie and Joel just overwhelmed them. Now, at the end of the game, this character has now summoned enough forces to fully take on Joel and Ellie. And so Joel decides to make the ultimate sacrifice and say, I'm sorry for not being truthful with you this entire time. I'm sorry that I lied to you about the Fireflies. I'm sorry that everything that, you know, is going on is because of me. I don't want you to die, and I don't want, you know, I don't want you to get hurt like my last daughter. Let me save you. And what he does is he makes the ultimate sacrifice, taking on the entire group by himself, and dies in the process, and allows Ellie to escape. So that Ellie can come back with forces and take them down in the 3rd game. That would be a good send-up. But nope, let's beat the motherfucker with a damn golf club. I swear to God, if they would have done that to Ellie, do you know how pissed people would be? Especially if it was a guy? But no, if a girl beats a guy over the head with a fucking golf club, no, we should be fine. But if Ellie were to get beaten to death with a golf club by a fucking dude, do you know how pissed people would be? Especially if you saw her head getting caved in like we did with Joel. Oh, but no, Joel's different. He's a straight white guy. He deserves to get beat. What the fuck? It's so stupid. And so the game ends with, you know, Abby, you know, the fucking she-male, taking on Ellie and her girlfriend. Ellie is, like, brutally beaten. The girlfriend goes toe-to-toe with Abby for a good minute, but it's, you know, stopped from, like, beating Abby down because Abby has a sidekick now, shoots her in the back with an arrow, and then, like, Abby's about to kill her, and Ellie's like, hey, look, don't kill her, she's pregnant, and she's like, and Abby's like, oh yeah, that's good, I'm gonna kill your girlfriend because she's pregnant, and she's about to do it, and then she's like, no, I can't do it, and she, like, throws her down, and it's like, okay, and the game, you know, progresses, the girl, Abby, escapes or whatever, and it just ends. Now, here's the other thing. It's implied that the 3rd game is going to be focused on Abby and her new sidekick going forward as the new main characters. Now, here's another problem with this being fucking political garbage. The role reversal, right? So at the end, you see that Abby now has a sidekick, right? In the first game, this is how it was. You had Joel as the main protagonist. You had Ellie as the side character, right? And so, that's how it was. The older guy leading the smaller girl. They teamed up, they took people down. That's how it worked. Now, they killed Joel, and they're going after Ellie to kill her. And now the roles are reversed. Now we have a buff, she-male, transgender-looking motherfucker leading, instead of, you know, being a, you know, strong, straight, white male, because we can't ever have those leading the way for a fucking female. And then, instead, as the side character, instead of it being like Ellie, you know what we have as a side character? A small Asian boy. Because, you know, we gotta go for those diversity points, you know? And here's the thing. They serve the exact same roles as Joel and Ellie. They are just, like, you know, fucking politicalized, you know, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Because instead of being Joel, straight white male that's super strong and buff, we have whatever the fuck that transgender looking bitch is. And then we have, instead of Ellie, we have the Asian boy. And here's the thing. This, you know, fucking she-male uses similar weapons to that of Joel. You know, melees, I think she uses guns. I'm pretty sure she uses guns. Melees and guns. You know what the Asian boy uses? Just like Ellie, a fucking bow! Do I have to say more? This game is garbage. I don't care to buy it. You know what? I don't usually condone leaking, but you know what? I'm happy this leaker leaked the game. Because, you know what? It just saved my ass $60 from pre-ordering this garbage. Anyway, so there guys, there's one video to close. Don't forget to like this video if you did know shit, just one video. Your friends don't subscribe to unlockable stories for more vlog type shit like this. And yeah, so there guys, there's one video to close. Kill Zomzone, and I'm out for now. Peace.